Good morning to one and all. Am I audible to all of you? Okay, thank you. Is my screen visible? I have shared my screen. It is visible? Okay, thank you. In the from previous few lectures, we are studying about content placement or replacement, replication, how to create replicas, how to place the replicas, the servers or the contents. Okay, then can anyone tell me about push and pull protocol? Who is responsible for push protocol and who is responsible for pull protocol? Can anyone tell me? I'm waiting for your response. That concept is already covered in the previous lecture, that is push and pull protocol. As we know, the content replication and placement, suppose what type of content we need to replicate on different servers. So for that purpose, we need to find out such a content, and then we have to replicate on different locations. Okay, so there are different type of locations or different type of methods there, who is going to initiate to create the replicas. There are again two different types, that is server initiated protocol or server initiated replicas and client initiated replicas. Means suppose the server knows that that particular content is using by number of clients simultaneously, and that requests are not handled by such a server, then server will take initiate to create the replicas for such a reason. Okay, and then we have already seen the concept, that is client initiated replicas. And then suppose n number of replicas are created, and that particular replicas are having some data, and suppose client has requested to one of the replica to get access to that particular data, then that particular replica means the server which is having that replica, that server will communicate to the client and update their own data. If server has access to update that data, then that data is updated by the server, and then server will send the updated data to all the remaining replicas for the updation. Okay, so these are the different types of updation, how to update the data. These are the different examples. After that, as I ask you, pull and push protocol. So here in the pull protocol, pull means what? In the pull protocol, the clients or the remaining replicas will send the request for the updation to the specific replica for the updation. Okay, so here every time client replicas has have to send the request to the server for the updation. That's why it is called as pull protocol. And the server which has the updation, if that particular server sends the response or sends the message for the updation to all the remaining replicas, then that particular protocol is known as push protocol. Means uh, that means updation of that replica is initiated by the server, then it is known as push protocol, and saying the request for the updation by the client replicas, then that particular protocol is known as pull protocol. Okay, then in the previous lecture we have seen also the concept of Byzantine error fault. Okay, then when that particular fault occurs, the assumption is what no reliable communication channel is there. So when two perfect or proper processes want to communicate through unreliable communication channel, then not proper communication done without agreement of these two processes. Okay, So agreement is very much important in between two processes for the communication, and agreement is placed only when the communication channel is reliable. Okay, so the Byzantine fault occurs in such a case. Now we have already discussed one more concept in the previous lecture, that is Byzantine general problem. Okay, though today we will see the next concept, that is reliable one-to-one communication. Means how the one-to-one communication is reliable. In that case, means TCP protocol is going to use, and it will provide the reliable communication channel for the communication. Okay, so uses the reliable transport protocol, that is TCP protocol, or handle at the application layer. Means this communication is handled by the application layer. Then RPC semantics in the presence of failures. And what are the different possibilities occur in such a case, that is reliable one-to-one communication. In that case, one-to-one means what? Only two processes are there, and they want to communicate with each other, and the communication should be reliable. In that case, different possibilities we can get. The first one possibility is what? The client unable to locate the server. Means what? Client and server, one client and server is there. Client has to communicate the request to the proper server, but a client is unable to locate the proper server. This is one of the possibility in the communication. Then second one is what? Client and server, client locate the proper server for the communication, but still client sends the request to the server, but that in between client and server, the request message lost. Okay, so second one possibility is what? The request message lost in between the communication channel. And the next possibility is what? Server crashes after receiving request. Means the client locate the server to which client want to communicate. Then client sends the request to the server. Server process that request, but after processing the request, server crash down. Then what happened? At the client end, the response can't get at the client end. Okay. Then the next one possibility is what? The next possibility is lost the reply message. Means what? Server process that request and finds the response, and after that server has to send the reply message, and that particular reply message lost in between the communication channel. Then what? How this particular communication, reliable communication, handle such a possibility or such a error. And the last one possibility is the client crashes after sending request. Okay, so here in that particular case, the client crash after sending the request. Means what? Uh, client crash, and server finds the response and send the reply, but that particular reply can't get to the client because client crashes after sending the request. So these are the different possibilities comes under this reliable one-to-one communication. Means what? Here we are using the reliable communication channel, but such a type of possibilities can be occur in that case. Okay. Then different type of next point is what? The reliable one-to-many communication. So how we can overcome such a problem in case of one-to-one or in case of one-to-many communication? Means the broadcasting. Suppose multicast or broadcast we can consider here. Single system wants to send the same message to multiple servers simultaneously, then it will multicast the data. We have already seen how to multicast the data and which type of protocol we need to use for that purpose. So here in that case, suppose the reliable communication channel we are using for the communication for one-to-one and for one-to-many communication. But in such a case, suppose the message is sent from one server to multiple clients simultaneously, but during the communication the message has lost, then what should be there? The server or the system which want to communicate that message to multiple servers simultaneously, it has to retransmit that particular message if the message lost. Okay, but when the server get to know that the message is lost, when the remaining servers or the remaining processes sends the acknowledgement to the server that the message is received by that particular system or not received. Okay, means that server has to send the positive acknowledgement or the negative acknowledgement, so that the system or the sender get to know that the data or the message received by the server or not received by the server. Okay, so these are the two possibilities. Sender can become bottleneck in such a case because multiple messages received by the server, that is only for the acknowledgement. Okay, means that message is received by receiver, then receiver will send the acknowledgement whether it is positive acknowledgement or the negative acknowledgement. But in such a case, the possibility is that the server can bottleneck, become the bottleneck, means multiple messages are received by the sender. Okay, it can't handle that particular messages coming from multiple systems simultaneously or at the same time. So here the receiver suppress the feedbacks. Then in that case, suppose negative, only it takes the negative feedback. In that particular case, sender sends the message using the multicasting. Then sender receives only one negative acknowledgement, because each one sends to the other one server that the negative acknowledgement. I'm not able to receive the message. But what about the remaining servers which are available there? Then that particular negative acknowledgement again send it to the other receiver, so that only one negative acknowledgement sent to the server. So here this problem can be overcome. That is, sender bottleneck problem can be overcome in such a case. Okay, just by using the negative acknowledgement based scheme. So here, these are the concept of one to many and um, many to one communication. Afterward, we are going to see about how to place the replicas. Okay, till now we see about the content, which content we can replicate and where to place the replica. Okay, but here with the help of different algorithms, we can place the replica and where to place the replica. So here in this slide, we will see different algorithms for the replica placement. So here, first one algorithm is the greedy approach algorithm. In that algorithm, just wait. Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, I'm properly audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Just wait, just wait. Okay. Then here we will see the different algorithms for the replica placement. Your first algorithm is the greedy approach algorithm. So here it places the replicas one by one, each time exhaustively evaluating all the possible locations. We have already seen the concept how the replicas are placed. We have already seen one scenario that suppose the server is placed at one location. Okay, and number of replicas are available at different locations. And suppose one of the replica is located at one location, and that particular data is accessed by n number of clients simultaneously. Means that replica can handle n number of clients simultaneously. Okay, but at some time the clients are increased, more than n number of clients are accessing to that particular replica on this at the same time. Then that server is not capable to handle uh, all the requests simultaneously. Okay, so for that purpose server will initiate to create the replica, but where to create the replica and how that replicas are placed and where to place that particular replica. So for that purpose, different algorithms are being used. So one of the algorithm is a greedy approach where it places the replicas one by one. Means it will search for such a region where uh, the multiple requests are coming from different clients. So here for that purpose, that particular region has to search for that. Then it places the replicas one by one each time and evaluating all the possible locations where we can place that replica. Okay, and then the location we can consider, the bandwidth we can consider, how much bandwidth is required for the communication. Means that particular replica should be nearer to that uh, client, okay, so that that client will communicate uh, to that replica easily and with the less amount of access time. So here for that purpose it finds the replicas or it finds the location and then it produces very good replica placements, but the computational cost is very high in that particular case because in the greedy approach it every time finds one by one it finds the possible locations, okay, and then it selects one of the location and places the replicas over there. But here for that purpose it takes multiple uh, it requires the computational cost more, that is the uh, complexity is what the complexity for the greedy approach is bigger, k n raised to 2, because every time it has to search the location, then it will create the replicas for that. Okay, so the complexity is bigger, k n raised to 2. So next one algorithm is the hotspot algorithm. It places the replica on nodes that along with their neighbors. Here in such a case, the neighbors are considered, and not only the nodes are considered as in the greedy approach the nodes are considered, and how many nodes are communicating at the same time it is considered in the greedy approach. But in this case, in the hotspot case, it places the replica on the nodes that along with their neighbors generates the greatest load. Where the load is there, it will generate the load and then it will place the replica here. So the this is the complexity, that is uh, O of n raised to 2 plus minimum of n into log n plus nk. We will see how this complexity comes. So here we'll see this hot zone algorithm in detail. So there are two different steps in the hot zone algorithm. Your first step of this algorithm is identify the network region where the replica is to be placed. Okay, so here the network region is identified where we want to create or place the replica. The replica network region is identified here, and then the second one step is what, once the network region is identified, then the replica holding node is chosen from each group. Okay, so here once the network region is identified, then the replica holding node is chosen from each group. Okay, then here GNP concept is considered, that is the global network positioning. With the help of that, we can find the region or the network region. So the GNP represents the complex structure of the internet by simple geometric space. Okay, means with the help of this only we can find the network region where we can place the replica. It approximates the latency between two nodes based on the coordinates in an m-dimensional Euclidean space. So here, once you use that and find out this, the network regions are identified by determining the clusters of node coordinators in the Euclidean space. Okay, so here network regions are identified with the help of GNP, that is Global Network Positioning. This by determining the clusters of node coordinators. Every cluster is having the coordinator, and with the help of this, Euclidean space, we need to find out the cluster, and then the next one is what the for identifying and measuring the coordinate clusters. Uh, it splits the m-dimensional space into cells of identical size. So here the space is divided or split into identical size uh, regions. Okay, and then it finds it identify and measures the coordinates, identifies and measure the coordinates uh, as per the size. Then each cell is uniquely defined by its center point, and then the density of the cell is defined by the number of nodes whose coordinates fall within the cell, and then the coordinates of the node are mapped to the cell. Okay, so we'll see the diagrammatic representation of this. The replicas are then placed in the most dense cells, means where the number of nodes are more, at that place only the replicas are placed. So here the split clusters are used. In that split means what? In the previous case, the clusters are being used, but the drawback of the cluster is what? The cluster may span multiple cells, and this hampers the optimal performance of the algorithm. So the zones comes and after the cluster. So zone is introduced here. So in the zone, each zone consists of cell and its neighbors. Okay. So 3 raised to m cells are there, uh, and then that particular cells are distributed or splits. So here in the split cluster, in this diagram, we can see two different types are there. This is the rectangular, uh, different cells are there, and these are cells different splits, um, means the size of all the cells are unique, and then the split cluster and non-split cluster, where these nodes are not splits and these nodes are splits using different coordinators, and each node represents the coordinator. Okay, means one of the node is represents the coordinator of all these. With the help of these, the split clusters are used, and then we can find the complexity with the help of this. And then the complexity analysis of these algorithms, where n is the number of nodes and k is the number of replicas and m is the GNP space dimension. Okay, so GNP stands for global network positioning. So m is the GNP space dimension, and n is the number of nodes and how much replicas you need to create, which shows the value q. Then different steps are required for that. So first step is what? To determine the average distance between nodes. This is computed with fixed number of randomly selected nodes. This step has constant cost. Means what? Here we can see, sorry, here in that case, in the first step, we need to determine the average distance between nodes. What is the distance between the nodes? This is computed with fixed number of randomly selected nodes, and then this step has constant cost because what can I say? It is having simple cost, n number of cost, because n number of nodes are there and n nodes are searching, means every time we are searching for the average distance between each node, two different nodes. So the complexity or the time required for that is n. So big O of n is required here. And then the second one step is what? Constructs the zone. In the second step, it constructs the zone, means it assigns nodes to their corresponding cells. So big O of n complexity is required for that second step, that is it constructs the zone, means it assigns to their corresponding cell, and then set of non-empty cells is translated to zones by identifying the neighboring cells of each cell and sum their densities. Okay, means what? Whenever they are finding the average distance between two nodes, any random nodes, then it assigns the node to their cells, corresponding cells. Then set of non-empty cells is translated is translated to zones by identifying the neighboring cells of each cell. Means what? It will find the region where the multiple nodes are there. With the help of neighboring cells, it can find out the non-empty cells, and then the sum finds the sum of their density. Means how much neighbors are there or how much nodes are there. They want that particular data, and then um, sorry, and then yeah, it will find the uh, complexity, that is each zone is equal to 3 raised to m cells and number of cells is equal to n. So big of n cell is accessed with the help of this. Then sort the cells according to their center points using radix sort, that is the complexity of that radix sort is also big of n, and then individually cells accessed using binary search. So the complexity is big of log n. So the total cost is required, that is big of n into log n. This cost is required by step 2, and then in the step 3 the placing replacement replicas. Okay, so in place 1 it finds the distance between two nodes. Okay, it finds the distance randomly. Then in the previous step, that is the second one step, it finds okay, it finds the location where the region at that particular region multiple nodes are there, and with the help of radix sorts and the binary sort it will finds such a location. So the total cost required is what? Big of n log n. And then we'll see about the third one step, and which is very much important, and the last step, that is placing the replicas. Then in that, for each replica we identify the most dense zones. Okay, means here we identify the most dense zone which needs all the zones, inspecting all the zones, that is big of n. Again, it requires n number of n times. So here the n same operation performed on all replicas. So total cost requirement is big of kn, because k is the number of replicas and n is the number of nodes. So total cost required is big of kn, and then the total cost, with the help of this we can get the total cost, as we have already discussed in the previous slide, that is the time requirement or to execute that whole hot zone is the big of 1 plus big of n into log n plus big of k into n, that is equal to big of n into maximum of log n, maximum of log n or k. Means if the number of replicas are greater than number of nodes, then we should consider the maximum value from that. Okay, so this is the concept of the time requirement for the replica placement. Then we'll see the next concept, that is replication criteria to be considered for replica management system. So what type of criteria we need to consider for the replica management, and how to replace that replica. So we will see this concept now. So here first one criteria is what? Your replica should be openness. Openness means what? The replica should be available to all the users. It should be useful to many requesters, not only single requester. Okay, means that replica, if the replica is accessible to only one user at a time, then it is not useful. Okay, so for that purpose your replica should be open to all simultaneously. It can be accessible to all. Then the second one is what? Locality. Means what? The obtaining a nearby replica is preferable. Means suppose n number of replicas are there, and user is having one replica which is nearer to that particular user, then that replica should be accessible first rather than the remaining one, because the access time requirement is less for that replica as compared to the remaining replicas. Okay, so obtaining the nearby replica is preferable here. The actual distance or the cost metrics used may include the dynamic parameters such as network and server. If the mirror replica is busy, then the server should connect it to the next nearer replica in such a case. And then the low here addressability is one of the criteria for that. In that particular case, for management control and the updation support, should be provided for the enumeration and individual or group wise addressing for the replicas. Means what it should address the problems, what problems they are facing. Suppose for the updation, for management and for control that particular replica, it should be provided for enumeration and the individual or a group wise addressing of replicas, means to which replica we can contact, and every replica should be up to date every time. Then the next one is freshness. Okay, so your replica should be fresh every time, means the replica should be most up to date version of the document. And then the adaptivity is one of the criteria. Here the number of replicas for a resource should be adaptable to demand as a trade-off between store or the storage requirement and server load. Here adaptability or adaptivity is very much important criteria in case of replica management. The number of replicas for the resources should be adaptable. In that case, means if you want to create one more replica for the same content, then you can create that replica also, and you can manage the load of that particular server with the help of this. Then the flexibility, the number of replicas for one resource should not depend on the number of replicas for another resource. Okay, so here means what, suppose different resources are there, and for one resource we are creating the replica and placing the replicas in different locations, then it should not be affected to the other one resource replicas. Okay, so that it should be flexible in such a case. Then the variability, the locations of replica should be selectable. So here, as I discussed previously, that if the server is already busy for processing the different requests coming from the client, then we can locate or we can access the different replica which is located nearer to that particular location of the client. Then the next criteria is what, the state size, the amount of additional state requirement or it requires for the maintaining and using the replicas should be minimum. This applied to both distributed and the centralized state. Okay, means this particular criteria is applicable for distributed and centralized communication. In such a case, the amount of additional state requirement for that, for the maintaining, means here we need to maintain all the management of replicas, whether we want to place, whether we want to locate that replica, or we want to create the use that particular content and place that content at some location. Then that particular concepts are comes under in both cases, that is in the centralized or in the case of distributed. Next one is the resilience. In that particular case, as DHT themselves are completely distributed and resilient to outage, then the centralized state or other single point of failure should be avoided in such a case. Then independence. Here in that case, in the independence, the name suggests all the replicas should be independent with here the introduction of new replicas, that is respectively the removal of the existing replica on a node should dependent on as few other nodes as possible. Okay, so here this one is very much important point or the criteria when you consider the management of the replicas. And last one is the performance. In that particular performance, locating a replica should not cause excessive traffic or delay. Means what? Whenever we are locating one more replica, it should not cause that means bottleneck of that particular replica again. So that means what? When you create your creation of replicas um, should decrease the load of the uh, decrease the load of the server, not should increase the load of that particular server, so that your system will give more performance than the previous one. Okay, so this, we will stop here. The next point I will take in the next lecture. So just mark your attendance in the chat box, everyone. Start with roll number 1 to 10. Mark your attendance in the chat box. Then roll number 11 to 20. Twenty-one to 30. Next, 31 to 40. Forty-one to 50. Fifty-one to 60. Then mark remaining students. Mark your attendance. Okay, thank you. Thank you for joining. Now you can leave the session. I will share you the format of literature survey.